And then we started off this morning talking about Haiti, where there's the big story today is that the CIA has been keeping many Aristide opponents on the payroll. So it's all of a piece somehow.
Yeah, I saw that piece in the New York Times, and it's not at all surprising. I've been saying for a long time it's inconceivable that the agency would not have intimate relationships with the people in the military de facto government, as well as the chief of police, Francois, in Port-au-Prince. And my feeling on the thing all along is that the United States hasn't the least interest in seeing a president like Jean-Bertrand Aristide in power in any Caribbean or Latin American country. The man stands for everything opposite to what the United States policy in Latin America is, i.e. exploitation and so forth and so on. And they could have, if they really wanted him in power, if they believed in democracy in Haiti or any other country, and we know from 30 years of experience that they don't give a hoot about democracy. It's just appearances, you know, and when the wrong man is elected, as Goulart in Brazil or in Ecuador when I was there in the 60s, or Allende in Chile, there's so many examples. Well, let's get rid of him. We don't care the way the people voted. And in Aristide's case, if he won 67 or 68% of the vote, well, okay, the Haitians don't know really what they're doing. They don't know who they're voting for. Like Kissinger said about Allende in Chile, why should we stand by and let Chile go communist because of the irresponsibility of its people? I mean, imagine. And it wasn't even Allende was a socialist. He wasn't a communist. It was a left-wing coalition. In any case, I think the dilly-dallying around over these last 2 years since the coup proves that the United States doesn't care to have him back in. They're giving lip service to democracy in Haiti, but I'm sure that given their relationship with these military people like Cedra, with the Francois, the chief of police, they could have stopped the thing before it ever happened 2 years ago. And they could have had Aristide back in there in 2 weeks if they had wanted to. It's just a showcase of hypocrisy these last 2 years on the part of first the Bush and now the Clinton administration. Mm-hmm. It's a very sad thing because if he does get back, he will have no power. He will be in great danger for his life, and there will not be very many months left to his term as president. So it's kind of a new experience to see this preaching about democracy right and left and through these months, nothing really substantial done. And now even it turns out that what I was sure of all along, these people are on the CIA payroll. And the real reason we all know is that they are making hundreds of millions of dollars in the drug trade. I mean, everybody knows that. But have you heard a word from the administration, from the Clinton White House about this? Not one word. There's been some mumbling, rumbling in Congress about this, not very much. But the latest I heard or read, and these are sort of speculation in terms of figures, something like $500 million in a year. These people are earning, so if they're able to bank that money in safe havens and so forth, why should they give up that position and all of that wealth and compare that to the way most Haitians live? It's just a disgusting situation.
The story in the New York Times has this allegation that, in fact, these fellows have been on the CIA payroll, but then we have Mr. Torricelli saying, well, of course they're on the payroll.
Yep.
I mean, what do you think? And you, as an employee of the CIA in Uruguay and in Mexico and elsewhere as well, Ecuador, were in charge exactly of making those connections, were you not?
That's right. I was working with police and military all through that period, except in Mexico when I was working in the Olympic Games in 1968. But I learned that there was not a single Latin American country, save Cuba perhaps, where the CIA was not intimately involved with the security forces. And this is something that passes through the years. One officer will come in, he'll stay for 2 years or 3 years or even 4 years, and he'll turn these people over to the next person who comes in and replaces him. And so you take these people through generations, as Torricelli had mentioned in his comments. I think it's a fine thing that he would confirm that. It's something, as I say, that many people would have suspected or been fairly convinced of all along. But it just shows all the more that the lamenting about the situation of democracy in I was about to say Chile.
Yeah.
In Haiti.
That's what I thought of immediately was Allende.
Is pure hypocrisy, and nobody should be fooled by that. We have to understand that Aristide comes from liberation theology, and that is something that dates from the 60s. It is the preferential option for the poor by the Catholic Church in Latin America. It caused a schism within the Catholic Church, and now you have had since then this division. And you have on the one hand the Aristides and the Christian-based communities seeking some kind of social justice and a life in the here and now, a decent life. Whereas you have the others who are those traditional oligarchies and the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, such as the Cardinal in El Salvador, in Nicaragua, Obando y Bravo, who are in the traditional rut of identifying with the moneyed and property classes. And this has split the Catholic Church. The U.S. position all along has been stability. That's what I was doing and my colleagues. Everything we did was had stability as its goal. And that meant supporting the status quo, the traditional power structure and structure of wealth and income and so forth, which had meant that the vast majority of the populations was always outside the mainstream, many outside the money economy with practically no hope at all. And we were promoting all the time this thing of fatalism, of resignation, of not resisting, of thinking of the afterlife, if you're thinking in religious terms. Mm-hmm. And Aristide and others of his beliefs say, that's gone on long enough. We want social justice now. And that goes totally against the grain of U.S. policy in those countries, because when you start reform programs like land reform, which is most important of all, or redistribution of wealth and income, you then foment a certain degree of instability. And that is anathema to the operations of U.S. corporations in those countries.
Okay, well then there's a very clear logic to what you're saying. You're listening to Philip Agee, who has personal experience with the goals of the U.S. government as an employee of the CIA for some years and as a writer about the CIA and its operations ever since his resignation in the late 60s.